press record. Right.
Amazing. Cool. So yeah, we'll give it a few more minutes for other people to join, but maybe people who've jumped into the session, if you could just share a little bit about your business or your interest for today's session, just where you're located around Australia. It'd be good to get to know who's in the audience out there. So feel free on the chat, or even if you wanted to unmute yourself and to chat live, whatever works for you. It's good to know who's joining. And we'll give it a few more minutes. All right, maybe one more minute and then we'll get started. And this session will be recorded as well. So if there's anything that we go through that you wanted to go back on, the slides will be shared, but also there'll be the recording that you can refer back to as well. Amazing. All right, well, we might kick off. So thanks for joining. I know a lot of you are business owners, so you've got a lot of hats you're wearing and a lot of things going on during the day. So the goal for this session is to be informative, practical, which is why it'd be great if during the session you have questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. Colin from our team will also be joining, so he can answer them live for you. Otherwise, yeah, we can run through things afterwards if you want to book in some time to chat with our team. So this session is the focus is on talking through NDIS businesses and how you can scale smart, particularly looking at accounting and tax for your business. So whether you've got an accountant, whether you're doing it yourself, hopefully this can take you through some practical takeaways. So looking high level, there's about 2.1 million registered companies in Australia. And a lot of these are involved in NDIS, as you can see there, about 16,000 registered NDIS providers, 150,000 unregistered. But the crazy stat is there's about 25 to 30,000 new companies started every month in Australia. And at Sleek, we support business owners to register companies and trusts. We're doing about probably 100 to 200 companies a month. And a big percentage of the clients that we're helping are involved in NDIS. So you're not alone. It's something that a lot of people are doing. But often when you're getting into business for the first time, there's some confusion around what you need to do and around the business side of the NDIS part. But again, you can see the other stat is that 90% of all these businesses are small businesses, and that probably includes a lot of you as well. And out of these, only 60% are making less than $200,000 a year. It's hard to turn a profit, and within NDIS, profit is quite tight. People are struggling to afford a team or losing money in process of running a business. And so having financial foundations that can help you to avoid these and to grow past this size is really key. Because this is the other statistic, which is very shocking. This is how many businesses survive. So while most businesses might be around after 1 year, only 50% of businesses are still around after 5 years. And then you can see there after 10 years, only 20% of businesses are remaining. And so that's why, again, it's really important that a core part of running your business is the financial foundations and how you scale. So today's workshop or today's session will aim to take you through 3 different steps. One is if you haven't got an NDIS business yet and you're looking around what's the type of structure you should be operating under. The second is if you've got one, what are some of the key challenges or pain points that we see as an accountant that NDIS business make and how to avoid them. And then the third is always, if you're looking to get started or you're looking for an accountant, how much does it cost and what's generally included with an accounting firm? And that's what we're doing at Sleek. So we'll jump into section 1, which is incorporating or registering an NDI business. And if you've got one already, this might be a good refresher, or maybe it can be helpful to think about your current structure that you're operating under. So in Australia, there's lots of different business structures that you can choose, as you can see there on the screen. But the business structure that you choose will determine a lot around your tax at the end of the year, your liability and your risk, and your ability to sell the business in the future, and your reporting obligations. I'll focus on the top two common ones that we see, which is a sole trader and a company. But a key thing to know about NDIS, and I'm sure many of you do know, is that the NDIS registration that you get for your business is linked to your ABN. So it's really important that if you are thinking of starting a business, that you pick the right structure from day one, because if you do decide to, say, for example, start as a sole trader and then change to a company, you will need to then do a new registration with NDIS, which is quite expensive and also could double up in what you've done through your sole trader ABN. So that's probably the first key thing. But looking at the two structures, these are the two common ones we see for NDIS providers. The sole trader is essentially just registering an ABN and linking it to your personal tax file number. It's quick to set up. At the end of the financial year, the only thing you need to do reporting wise is your personal tax return, but the tax is at your personal income tax rate, and also you are personally liable. The company is the most common structure we see for NDIS providers because there's limited risk around the company structure. The tax is only on profit, which is 25%. And you can also sell a company in the future by transferring the shares, whereas a sole trader, you can't really sell yourself. So again, a lot of clients we have are operating NDIS businesses as companies, which I'm sure many of you are as well. So this is, again, just to give a case study, this is an example of someone operating either as a sole trader or as a company and the tax outcome. And so you can see Tom, he's made about $200,000 profit, but as a sole trader, he has to pay tax on every single dollar. And you can see the individual tax rates on the bottom left of the screen, up to 45%. As a company, he can choose to only pay himself a certain salary, he can retain some of the profit, and he pays tax at 25%. So ultimately, at the end, if he structures through split income, Tom can save about $15,000 of tax. And then having a company with an ACN, an Australian company number, as opposed to just a sole trader with an ABN, Tom looks a bit more professional, and he's more likely to get maybe more business clients through using an ACN as opposed to just a sole trader ABN. So looking at the company side of things, when you set up, this is what you need, and this is what I'm sure if you've got a business you're already doing. You need at least $1 capital. The government fee is $611 to register a company in Australia at the moment. You need one person to own the company. You need someone to look after your reporting with the regulator ASIC, the company regulator you buy your company from. You need at least one director living in Australia, and you need a registered address for the company. A lot of our clients, when they come to us, they're using their home as the address for their business. But we offer a registered address service where we use our Sleek office for the company's address. And that helps clients to kind of keep their home private, because sometimes you don't want your clients to know where you live. And then in addition to that, if we're the address, we're receiving the letters for them from the tax office, ASIC, the regulators, the banks, scanning it and uploading it into our portal and giving access to the client 24/7. And that's $300 for 12 months. So again, that's one of the supports we're providing for businesses. These are some of the common challenges or things that come up when we're helping people to register companies, is which company name to choose. Do you need different licenses or permits? So again, if you're engaging in NDIS activities, you need to register if that's a requirement. What insurances might you need? Personal indemnity, directors and officers, cyber risk, these are common. Bank accounts, legal agreements, and in terms of funding as well. So these are kind of the key areas that we talk through clients with. And where we don't support internally, we have great partners we connect our clients to. And that's kind of where Sleek comes in. So Sleek, we've been around 8 years. We have been helping hundreds of business owners to register and then stay compliant with more the admin side of running their business. We're a tech accounting firm, which is a bit more different from a traditional accountant because we can do things through technology, but with a human touch behind. So every client has a dedicated accountant. And it addresses kind of the two pain points of all accountants in Australia is one, you never hear back from your accountant. So for us, the list of all the accountants' names is posted every day internally with how many emails they've gotten if they haven't responded. And then the second is pricing. Our price is on our website. It's very transparent. And that's kind of been the mission of our team, is building the operating system for small business for the last 7 years, of just making the process of understanding what you need and how much and how quickly you can get set up as simple as possible. So that was section one. Again, thinking about the structure and the setup of an NDIS business. And so we'll jump into the second section, which is more around if you've got a business or once you do register, what are some of the key pain points that you need to worry about. So I just have a look at the chat to see if there's any questions. So feel free as well to ask anything that comes up. So Coralie has asked, I own 2 allied health clinics with about 50% of our work from NDIS. So that's a great introduction. Thanks, Coralie. It's good to know who's on the call. So yeah, feel free if you have any accounting tax questions as we go through the next section to ask. We've got Colin, one of our senior tax agents, on the call with us, and he'll be very happy to respond on the chat. So jumping in onto the pain points, these are kind of the top 5 that we see repeat quite often with NDIS providers. So we'll go into them, and again, happy to take any Q&A at the end. So the first is not keeping business and private separate. And this is one that's easy to start with, and then it gets messy if you don't fix it soon. So we have clients that come to us that have been using their personal bank account. So they've got their Woolies transaction, they've got their Bunnings shop, and then they've got their NDIS business expense. The thing about doing that is it's hard to track expenses and deductions. You have no visibility over the financial health of your business. And then when it comes to tax time, it becomes quite messy, both for you as the business owner and also if you try and work with an accountant. So the quick fix is, if you're not already doing it, is to use a separate bank account for your business. You need to set that up in the ABN of your company. Use a debit card and credit card strictly for business expenses, and use accounting software if you're not already, to help you keep track of transactions and to keep your records clean. So an example is this NDIS business owner, Sarah, who started out. She just used her personal bank to keep things simple. But again, the impact was she lost deductions, she lost her receipts. She spent a lot of time at night doing reconciliations when she could have been spending time with family. She had no visibility over her finances, so she didn't know how much cash she had left before she ran out. And then when it came to tax time, it was a nightmare for her to do her own tax. But when she came to an accountant like Sleek and gave us her bank statements, which had personal and business, it just was extra time that we had to spend. And so it cost more money, because time is money. So again, having a bank account linked to your business and using a software just makes things clean. It creates a system that just enables you to do things throughout the year, and it creates less headache at tax time. So again, I'm sure all of you are already doing this, but just in case, this is a common pain point that we see, and it's a quick, easy fix you can do for your own business. The next is a lack of time and financial expertise. And I think this is probably one of the biggest ones for NDIS business owners that we work with. Because as a business owner in general, you're wearing many hats. You're marketing, you're sales, you're the carer, you're admin. And so it goes back to, again, the point I made about having a system is really key, because it helps you to keep scalable and it helps you to keep track of everything going on. So the key thing is first to understand the key deadlines that you have for your company when it comes to ASIC and the tax office. Even if you're working with an accountant to help you with these things, because ultimately you as the director are liable and you need to be aware of those things. Just to answer the question in the chat, the video will be available. It's being recorded, and the slides will be shared with you as well. The other thing is, as a business owner, you need to keep all your business receipts for at least 5 years. So if you're putting them into a glove box of your car or in a shoe box, they'll get faded, they'll disappear. And so if you get audited by the ATO, you need to show them. So again, it's good to use automated tools like Dext, which is a receipt capture tool that we provide to clients. It just allows you to take a picture, send it, and then forget about it. And then the last thing is work with an accountant or a bookkeeper that can help you to maximize deductions, to claim them in the eligible categories, and then to avoid errors. There's a QR code on the screen as well if you'd like to scan, and it'll be shown at the end. This is a cheat sheet for invoicing tips for NDIS providers, because when you create invoices in NDIS, it's quite complicated. There's different rules. So these are some of the things that we see with clients. So yeah, feel free to download that if that could be helpful for yourself. This scary looking slide is all the deadlines for a company. So you can see their financial year started recently, 1st of July. It'll end 30th of June. During the year, you'll just need to be doing your bookkeeping every quarter, which is the 4 colors. You've got your GST periods, and then the BAS, or the business activity statement, is submitted at the end of each period, the different colors underneath, declaring the GST for the period that's just finished. And so you can see typically you have 4 BAS deadlines during the year. As a BAS agent, we get 2 months from the end of the quarter, whereas if you're doing it yourself, you have about 1 month to lodge the BAS. And then during the financial year, once you've completed all your accounting and your bookkeeping, you need to do the tax return at the end of the year. And then at the top, you can see the different super lodgement deadlines as well. So these are kind of the key deadlines I mentioned that you need to be just on top of. If you're not on top of these, then penalties apply. So this is just to show you some examples of letters that we've been shared by people who've been doing it themselves and then came to join us for the support. So in terms of the tax penalties, you can see from the ATO, the failure to lodge a BAS is calculated at $313 for each 28 days that it's overdue. And so if you have to do 4 of these a year and you miss them all and you don't do them, then that can add up quite quickly. And it's very hard to negotiate against not paying penalties to the tax office. But the other government department, if you have a company, is ASIC. And every year on the anniversary date of your company being registered, you have 2 months to pay ASIC an annual fee just to have a company. It's called the ASIC annual review fee. And again, if you don't pay that on time, there's a late penalty that accrues every 28 days. So you can see there, it can add up quite quickly. And so for most clients, we support as the accountant and tax agent and the ASIC agent to just help keep on top of these deadlines. This is what DEX looks like. So again, this is the tool I mentioned where you can take a picture of a receipt, send it in to a dedicated email address or upload it in an app, connects to Xero, the accounting software, and it just makes life easy to have a system of just snap and forget. And that's what we use for clients to make their bookkeeping as easy as possible. So this is another case study. So Jess is a business owner. She's been doing her bookkeeping manually. She's been keeping her receipts in a box. She's been doing her BAS, but doing it based on guesswork. So again, there's always the time cost of doing things yourself, particularly if you're not an expert in it, because it just takes longer. And I think that's the key thing to think about when you think about accounting and tax and getting help, is how much is your time valued? Like for a small business up to $75,000 of revenue, that's how we price our plans. Our annual fee is $1,800, including the Xero costs, the bookkeeping, the 4 BAS, the tax return and advice. That works out to be like $34 a week, including GST. So if you're charging your time at like, say, $300 an hour, paying $30 a week for everything and the free mindset of not having to worry about it is a good return on investment. And in addition, accounting fees are tax deductible, so we help you pay less tax. But by doing things herself and not doing things with the system, she had cash flow gaps. She wasn't counting every single receipt that she could have been eligible for. When it got to tax time, it was stressful. And if you make mistakes and you get audited, you have to redo them again. And that also costs more money. So again, having simple tools like Xero and Dext, if you're doing it yourself or working with an accountant, having someone that can help you to pick up on errors before they're lodged, and then just having someone you can rely on for questions as they come up helps things to be a bit more efficient. And that goes with most things in life as well. Another pain point is more on GST and BAS, because particularly with the NDIS sector, it's quite confusing because there are some services that you offer that are GST free. And then there are ones that you need to charge GST on. And this is where a lot of NDIS owners get caught up when it comes to running the business. So GST free services are any core supports that you provide, consumables that are part of a patient's care plan. But some NDIS providers sell things that are not GST free, which is like products or home modifications or transport. And so incorrectly reporting GST on things can often lead to the audits. And this is notorious for the NDIS sector because there's a lot of confusion. So again, categorizing things properly is key. Using accounting software that helps with this makes your life easier. But working with someone that knows the different categories and whether you should claim GST or not is also key. And as you know, it's mandatory to register for GST once you make $75,000 of income through your business, but you can decide to register early if you're going to go out and buy a lot of stuff where you pay GST on something. So say you started the NDIS business, you bought a laptop and you paid $3,300. The 10%, the $300, you can claim back to your business if you're GST registered. So again, there's pros sometimes to register early if there's if it makes sense. So looking at this case study here, so this company Therapy or Us offer GST-free services, but they also sell taxable fitness classes and products. And so it's really important that when they categorize these within their accounts, that they do them properly. And again, if you've got someone in your team doing this that's not familiar with this, it can get quite messy and lead to just more trouble down the road. So again, working with someone that knows this and does this day to day is a great way to just kind of free that stress up from yourself. The next is, a bit more deep dive into the financial numbers. And I think this goes to really the topic of today of scaling, because you got into business to make money, but to help people as well with NDIS. But ultimately, there's kind of three questions as the owner of the business that you need to know the answers to, or at least how to find the answers, because this is why people start business. It's how much money is your business making? Is your business financially healthy? And do you have enough cash to survive, but also to grow? And the key financial metrics where you can find these is your profit and loss, your balance sheet, and your cash flow management statement. So I won't go into too much detail. And again, the slides and the video will be shared afterwards. But at a high level, the profit and loss is your performance engine of your business. It tells you for every $1 you spend, how much money, for every $1 you generated in sales, how much did you need to spend? And the key thing about the P&L is to make sure that your operating costs are as lean as possible so that you can continue to do the business but not kill your profit. Because ultimately, the bottom line, which is what we all know about in business, is what's telling you whether you're making money or not. And you want that to keep on increasing as much as possible. And NDIS is a bit tricky because you've got price caps, you've got set pricing that you need to adhere by. And so one key advice is to track profitability if you can by participant, program, and service, because that will tell you out of your business which ones are the most profitable so that you can double down and invest more in those rather than the ones that are taking a lot more time but maybe are not as profitable. And the 4 ways to increase your profit, this is kind of the lever you can pull, is sell more, increase your volume, increase your price within the guidelines of NDIS, decrease any direct costs that you need to sell or to provide your service, and decrease your overheads like rent, wages, anything that you need to keep the lights on for the business to run. Toggling any of these will then increase your profit ultimately for the business. The next is the balance sheet. So this is your business health check. This tells you whether your business is healthy or whether it's potentially at risk. So the recommendations around the balance sheet is try and find assets that are cash generating or that produce income. That's always the goal in business. Use debt carefully and try not to avoid borrowing too much with high interest rates that you can't cover the costs for. And then look at also your paid invoices. Because what you're essentially trying to do is to increase the positive assets within your business or the money that people owe you rather than you having to owe people money. So there's a negative imbalance between the business and the liabilities and the assets. And then finally, we've got the cash flow management, which is, the key thing just to keep your business afloat, because we all know cash is king. And so this is really the key challenges we see when it comes to NDIS businesses is not making consistent profit. And this is just the nature of the industry and having to work with plan managers and the NDIA. So that can sometimes lead to planning cash flow challenges. Unpredictable billing is also a key challenge. So service cancellations, variation in the participants' hours, that can make it hard to forecast. But I think one that is controllable is invoicing and debt collection. So one thing that small business owners struggle sometimes is getting paid for work that they've done. So again, as soon as you've gone and delivered a service, send an invoice as quickly as you can and put payment terms and then follow them up. I think that's the key one, sending invoices and getting paid. Um, but the other spectrum is you are probably paying other people for stuff as well. And so the key is to use those payment type terms wisely and not pay those invoices too quickly because you need to be able to control your cash flow. So making profit is just the start, but being smart with how you pay and how you get paid is really the key, often to success to business. So this one here shows you that, yeah, Tom ran a very successful NDIS business. He had good sales, but he avoided his financials. He didn't look at his P&L, his balance sheet. And so he wasn't aware that the overhead expenses were killing his profits. He paid his suppliers early because he was a nice guy, but he gave his customers really long payment terms, so they weren't paying him on time. And so he didn't understand that his business carried high debts, particularly around tax and the BAS that he had to pay. And so when times got tough or when the season became low, he couldn't cover the costs. And ultimately, that's a pretty bad position to be in as a business owner, particularly if you've got staff that you need to look after. So again, getting someone like an accountant to help explain financial numbers to you, if that's not a strong point, or just having someone you can rely on to translate that for you is really, I think, it's a good thing to have as an advisor, as a business owner. And then looking at, again, the cash flow forecast and what he could be doing for his business to make things a lot more sustainable so he can scale. And then the last pain point, and I think this is one of the key ones, is around common payroll issues. Because we all know Australian employment laws are very strict, and NDIS rules are very complicated. One of our partner industries we work with a lot is HR advisory. So we do payroll, but we don't do the HR advisory part. And a lot of the referrals we get through our partners are NDIS providers because the rules are just so complicated. But from like more of a high level, the common mistakes we see or challenges is misclassifying workers as contractors rather than employees. This is a key one. Not paying superannuation correctly and ignoring PAYG, so the pay-as-you-go obligations if you have employees. But also for you as the business owner or the director, not paying yourself correctly to maximize the tax and also do things in more of a strategic way. So to the first point, one good thing to do if you've got staff or contractors is there's a free online assessment tool that you can do where you plug in a few details and it'll tell you whether the people working with you are contractors or employees. So that's a good practical takeaway if you've got anyone that you're not sure about. The second thing is you should have good employment agreements aligned to Fair Work and the SHADS agreement. And then if you do employ someone, you need to register your ABN for the PAYG, where when you pay them the salary every week or fortnight or month, you need to withhold some of the tax to pay their own personal tax at the end of the year. So that's really key. So what are the consequences of incorrect classification? Well, again, it's against the law to treat employees as contractors. And ignorance, unfortunately, is not an acceptable defense, which is why a lot of people end up working with HR advisors because they're just not aware of the regulations. And the penalties can be quite severe. So this little table here, I won't do that in too much detail. It kind of tells you the main differences between your obligations as an employer for a contractor versus an employee. And one good way to kind of just do a sense check is if someone is working for you and turning up in your shirt with your brand, they're taking your tools, it's through your booking system, and they're working for you quite often, that kind of smells a bit more like an employee rather than a contractor who might turn up with their own shirt, their own brand, their own tools, their own car. So there's a fine line sometimes, and it's really good to be clear on if someone is a contractor or an employee. Back to the business owner part, like how do you take money out of your company? So you can see here, there's kind of three different ways that we see that through our clients. One is paying yourself a director's fee or a salary. A director's fee can be paid a bit more irregularly. A salary is more consistent. But when you do pay yourself, remember, or an employee, you need to register for PAYG. You need to withhold super, which is 12% for this financial year. And any tax that you pay will be at your marginal rate, which you remember the table goes up to 45%. The second thing is if you own the business, you're the shareholder, you're the owner, and your company makes profit, you can pull out money from the company to yourself as a dividend. And because the company has paid tax on the profit at 25%, When you declare it in your own personal tax return, you get what's called a franking credit. It's like a discount on that profit because the company's already paid tax. And that's a really effective way of, yeah, maximizing your take home. And then the third is a director's loan. As a director, you can take money out of the company. There should be a loan agreement put in place specifying the terms of the loan. But if you pay that back within 1 year, there's no interest and there's no tax implications for you. Otherwise, if you do pay it back longer, then there is an interest rate set by the ATO. You can see there. So yeah, last case study, this community nursing service accidentally misclassified workers as contractors. Unfortunately, they got audited by the ATO, which happens from time to time. And so, yeah, having failed to pay super, they didn't register for PAYG and incorrectly paying employees resulted in having to back pay super, which is a huge lump sum up front if you're a business and you didn't have $80,000 sitting aside. But also, in addition to having to pay, they get penalties. And ultimately, you as the director of the company are personally liable for any unpaid super and BAS. So it's a really serious thing to make sure you get right, because people are always entitled to their super. That's just the way that Australian HR regulations work. So having like an advisor, someone that can translate, help you review the situation, and then also using software like Xero or payroll software that can do the calculations of super and PAYG automatically just makes things a lot cleaner. And it just helps, yeah, make sure that you're not so stressed that you're doing things incorrectly. So lastly is, yeah, how much does it cost to set up a company and then to just manage a company from what we've gone through if you work with someone like Sleek? And again, you might be doing this by yourself, which is great, or you might have someone that you're working with already. So in terms of Sleek, as I shared, we set up between 100 to 200 new companies every month in Australia. We charge the government fee, which is $611, and then $180 to be the ASIC agent. So that's taking care of those annual reporting requirements and then also unlimited updates throughout the year if you want to change directors, issue more shares, change your address, all of those changes which you need to declare to the regulator in the internal company documents is something that we do as part of our support. Our address service is $300, as I said, for 12 months, and that gives you the peace of mind that your home is not visible for people to know where you live. But it also gives you that digital mailroom where we scan the documents, put them in the platform, tell you when you've got mail, and you can access that anytime from anywhere. And then as an accountant and bookkeeper, our pricing is very simple. We just try and make things as simple as possible. It's just based on the revenue of the business, so the income in the financial year. And we have kind of two levels of offering depending on your requirements. One is if you just want to be compliant and you don't want to pay a lot. And the other is if you are faster growing, you need more tax advice, you need more frequent bookkeeping, you need payroll support. That's more the pro plan. And you can see there we offer a monthly fee, which includes the cost of your Xero, the bookkeeping, the tax, the BAS, the advice. And we also have an upfront fee, which is you pay once and you get covered for the full financial year. And at the moment, we've got a 15% discount off all those annual fees for this financial year, which started on 1st of July and will end on the 30th of June. And if you do want to do your own bookkeeping and BAS, completely fine. We also have a tax return only service or a bookkeeping only service. So it's really customized as to what support you need for your business. And then, yeah, again, just a reminder on those deadlines, we take care of all of them for clients. So I'll finish there. This slide here is, again, if you would like to scan and get the free checklist for invoicing. There's also a special discount voucher there. But again, as I mentioned, we've got the 15% discount on at the moment. And then feel free to book in a time if you want to chat with our team around your business, if you've got any questions, or if you just want to explore what it's like working with Sleek as your accounting partner. Amazing. Well, feel free to ask any questions in the chat if there's anything that you wanted to focus on or anything you have questions about. Happy to help. Or feel free to unmute yourself as well if that's easier. All right. Seems like you all know what you're doing, which is good. Could I just take a poll for people here? Feel free to write in the chat whether you've got a company or a sole trader, just to kind of understand or if you're looking to start a business, like you could write sole trader, company, or um, uh, planning to register, just to understand who's in here. And then happy to touch on some of the key other challenges we see.
Do you want me to put it as a real poll, or do
Yeah,
you
yeah,
want?
sure. If you've got
Yeah.
that available, Alison, that's great. Ah, nice. Very fancy. So let's see who's in here.
Hi, I'm sorry, I don't know. I can't find the messages section, so I don't know where to put the message.
Yeah, of course, Jasmine. If you feel free to ask live if you want to, if that's easier.
So I've got my business
Hmm.
registered.
Great. Are there any, yeah, curious as if you are running a business, like Yasmin mentioned, is there anything in particular that's really causing you stress when it comes to accounting and tax? Like, is there something that is taking a lot of time or is just you're not sure about? Because again, each business owner we talk to, there's a different thing within an industry, and NDIS it's often invoicing or the employee's part.
One thing that really takes up my time is actually taking pictures of the receipts
Yep.
and then putting it on the system. So I am putting it like, I've got a folder to put all the receipts in, but
Yep.
then it would be ideal if, the accounting software that I'm using, I need to go and explore that because it's not zero.
Yep.
To see if that has the feature, and then I don't have to worry about these multiple accounts and everything.
Yep.
Um, but there really isn't like a quick fix or simple solution for like, I have to do that work every time. Like, yeah.
Yep. Is Colin, do you want to add on that? Because yeah,
I can take this. Jasmine, so what we offer is this software called DEX, also known as Receipt Bank. It does what you want to do. You just, if you can download the mobile app and then point the camera at your receipt, just take a picture. And what the application does, it will just store an image of your receipt into its repository, and you extract out all the information from that receipt so that it becomes a one-liner, which then you can upload it to your accounting software. So everything's automated except for the fact that you have to take a picture. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. But as Daniel was speaking while he was presenting as well, you've got to keep your expenditures at the minimum. So all these things so at the moment I have time in as much as it's annoying for me to do all
yep.
this, but I still have, because it's only a startup at the moment, my business. It's not gone to that level where, um, so till I have time, I have to do it, but it's still annoying at the same time. But I know I am looking at all these things, even in terms of like, the note softwares and things like that.
Yep.
When the right time comes, I will upgrade it, but not just yet.
Yeah, and that's
Can I
why
ask how much is the monthly fee for this software that you're talking about?
yeah, so Dexter Zero, that's why like we pay for that on behalf of clients. So if clients come to us and they have a Zero subscription already, we'll just take over paying for it as part of the fee. Dexter, I think, is about $120 for a year. I think it depends on number of users, but that's the one. Like, there's lots of different receipt capture tools out there. We like Dex because it integrates into Zero, and Zero can integrate into your bank. So it makes a system that's like as automated as possible, so that the admin is just streamlined. So we pay for that as part of the plan because we prefer to have a system that all clients are using so it can keep scalable. And then we're also like with Dext as well, there's something called OCR technology, like Colin was sharing, where it can actually read the receipt and then sometimes auto reconcile or get the reconciliations done almost automatically rather than having to have a human intervene on every single transaction. And that just makes things a lot more efficient. And that's why we can keep our pricing low compared to a traditional accountant, because we're using all this tech to just make the process of bookkeeping as quick as possible. So yeah, have a look at Dex. There's another, I think Receipt Bank used to be called, Dex used to be called Receipt Bank. And then there's another one called HubDoc. There's Zero Expenses. There's a whole stack. But yeah, you're right. They all cost money. So it's good to pick one that aligns to what you actually need. And we use Dex like personally, like as an employee of Sleek, I use Dex. And I can just take a picture of a receipt. What I like is if you get an invoice that's like a PDF on an email, you can just forward the email. You don't have to overwrite anything, and that PDF will be logged in Xero as well and matched to the transaction.
And that's just perfect. I mean, that's really something that you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to add to that, what happens when you upload your images, the receipts or invoices to this online repository? It keeps it there for like as long as you have an account. So it satisfies the ATO's requirements to have 5 years of written, stored receipts.
Yep. Cool. I'm looking at the poll results. So yeah, it looks like most people are companies, which is probably the best structure for NDIS. There's one person looking to register potentially. So yeah, any other questions anyone has on your business? You've obviously joined a session on tax and accounting for a reason. It'd be great to know if we were able to cover kind of the question area you had, or if there's anything else that's niggling in the background for you at the moment as a business owner. Great. Well, yeah, again, feel free to reach out to us. There's no cost from our side to just chat and to kind of go through your business and to see if there's anything we can do in terms of giving you some advice or helping with the compliance side of the business, which we do. But also running a business is sometimes a bit of a lonely task if you're at the top and you've got employees. So communities like the one that Gina and Alison are running, Effective Policy, are really great because it gives you sessions like this where you get to learn something and take something away. But it's really good as business owners to network. It brings clients, it brings new ideas. So yeah, like as we're setting up so many companies every month ourselves and onboarding clients as accounting clients, we're trying to find ways as well to support clients in different aspects of their business. So yeah, feel free to reach out if there's anything that we can do to help. And yeah, feel free to scan the code and you'll get details, but you can see there my details at the bottom as well if you want to reach out direct. So I think we might wrap up there, Alison, give people an early
Great.
mark. But
Yeah,
yeah.
excellent. Thank you so much for the presentation. I mean, it was really, I enjoyed it. I like learning about tax myself, so I actually really enjoyed learning. And we'll send out the recording, and I'll also send out the link that the QR code goes to and all of that information. So anyone who didn't attend live, you'll get all of that information as well. Thank you so much, Daniel, for your presentation. Thanks, Colin, for joining as well, and thanks everyone else who joined live. Great. Thanks,
Perfect.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Have a great
guys.
week.
Have a good one.